Soon after this year's TennoCon, creative director Rebecca Ford had a very strange interview with PC Games N, titled "One of Warframe 1999's romance options is kind of disgusting." For a while, I wondered what in the hell this could have meant, but I had no ideas. That was, until I was scrolling through Warframe 1999 fanart on Tumblr one day, I came across this really cool piece of Eleanor with what seems to be a technocyte growth coming out of her mouth. And then it clicked. Deliberate or not, this artist may have predicted the disgusting romance Reb was talking about. In this video, I want to share some clues that support this theory. As of making this video, we don't know a lot about the romance system coming with 1999. What we do know, however, is that it'll primarily take place via instant messaging on an old computer. But during TennoCon, Ford also confirmed that the romance storyline would conclude with a New Year's kiss scene between the Drifter and your proto-frame of choice.
So, if you play your cards right, one of those 6, including Arthur, could be your New Year's kiss.
A romance option being disgusting but in the best way would almost certainly be through something physical, like a kiss. So, it's fair to conclude that something would have to be different about a particular proto-frame's mouth. If Eleanor does happen to have some sort of technocyte growth coming out of her mouth, then she becomes the perfect candidate for this quote-unquote disgusting romance content. Following on from this, I noticed that Eleanor doesn't once open her mouth to speak, neither in the mall relay nor during the TennoCon demo. Even when you'd be standing right next to her, she'd speak to you telepathically. It's not like any of the other proto-frames are in earshot, so what would she have to hide by not just speaking normally? Perhaps she'll only choose to open her mouth once you've built a strong enough bond with her, and she's willing to disclose sensitive information. I may be looking too far into it, but it's certainly something worth mentioning, and of course, it does support the theory. These last couple of clues are definitely the strongest. If you visited the mall relay, you may have heard Eleanor say this.
Quincy thinks he's going to wake up one night to find me chewing the flesh from his ribs. Maybe he's right.
This one isn't the slightest bit subtle. Why would Quincy think something like this if Eleanor didn't have some terrifying monster mouth to chew his flesh with? This isn't even conjecture from Eleanor. We know that her telepathic abilities grant her access into the minds of others. So, she knows that Quincy thinks this. Not only that, but she doesn't even reject the idea. She thinks it's possible. There's one other line that alludes to her technocyte infusion being more severe than those of the other proto-frames.
I don't think Dr. Entrati expected me to survive. I had a lot more than just a cough. But survive I did. Letty has not forgiven me for it.
If you're still not convinced, I've saved the best for last. You know, it's a good thing I kept lazily putting this video off. It meant that Dee had enough time to drop one last amazing clue that supports this theory. During DevStream 181, the Tokyo Game Show stream, some sketches were shared from the upcoming Warframe 1999 animated short. Nothing was out of the ordinary, except for Eleanor's sketches. For some reason, her scleras were black instead of white, and she had fangs, like vampire fangs. If my speculation wasn't enough, then this has to be. An official animated short of the proto-frames features a black-eyed, fanged Eleanor. This is an incredibly strong implication that something is very different about her biology compared to the others. Whatever this difference is though, we'll have to wait and see when 1999 launches. Let's conclude with a quick summary of the 4 clues we discussed today. First, current information tells us that something about a romance option is disgusting, and that romance storylines contain a kiss. Therefore, it makes sense that the kiss is what's disgusting. For this to be possible, something's got to be different about someone's mouth. Second, of all the proto-frames, Eleanor is the only one who has not opened her mouth to speak, even when it made sense to do so. While nothing strong, this leads us to believe that she has something to hide that we may see later on. Third, certain dialogue from Eleanor tells us that Quincy has some sort of monstrous perception of Eleanor, which Eleanor herself corroborates. This must be implying some disturbing secret Eleanor is keeping from the others. We've seen dialogue clues in Warframe before, so this is not an impossibility. Fourth, A sketch from official Warframe media depicts Eleanor as a vampire. This supports the previous clues and the idea that her romance stands out from the other proto-frames in some way. I want to know what you guys think of this theory. It popped into my head and I found it far too interesting not to discuss on the channel, but who knows if it'll end up being true. If you have theories of your own, please do share them in the comments. I'll also put a link to the article and the Eleanor artwork in the description. Coming next is the belated discussion about this year's TennoCon, so I hope to see you then. Until next time, everyone.
It kills me.